Welcome back to Be Productive. I'm your host, Clara Capano. And what we are diving into now is leadership. Because whether you have a company of one or whether you have a company of 1,001, we all are leaders. So, to help me with our conversation, I am bringing in business strategist Ryan Conn. So, Ryan, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Leadership is at my heart. That is something I'm so passionate about is helping leaders to develop higher levels of health in organizations and high performing teams. And as we're talking about productivity and as it relates to teams, in your area of expertise, what have you seen as being some of the biggest challenges that leaders face when it comes to maintaining quality productivity with their organizations and teams?
Great question. Leadership, again, is also something I'm very passionate about. And I've seen a lot of challenges that leaders have. And I think probably to articulate one and not maybe take some low hanging fruit like communication and stuff like that is leaders want to have in their own mind, they have a vision or a dream of the type of influence and how positive and proactive that right type of influence is. And they have a really hard time focusing in and capturing the style of influence that is best for their personality type, their team, their industry, and ultimately the goals that they're trying to achieve through people. The challenge that I also find is that most leaders don't realize that they really have to take a step back of what they want on a daily basis and become a servant first. They have to look at their subordinates, their teams, their clients, their third party relationships and say, what can I do to get the best training, the best tools and resources, and the best people in places to make it a success? If you have that mindset, you're serving and giving of yourself to make all of those other good things happen for other people. And of course, not selfishly speaking, but the byproduct is that the leader will be elevated as well through their endeavors, and the brand will grow, the profits will grow, the team will grow, and of course, the morale will grow in the positive right direction. So, being aware of your specific style of influence and focusing on training yourself and fixing to deliver it in the way that is in your vision or your dream. And of course, in a healthy way is super important because there are some pretty bad leaders out there purposely and some not purposely.
hmm So true. And, it's such a dichotomy when you talk about, leading because we lead to lead. And we have to remember that part of leading is serving others. So I think you really hit on something really important that, as a leader, we are there to grow others, to make sure that others are leveling up to their greatest levels and, being able to serve our people. And I think sometimes we forget that our clients, as leaders, our clients are our team. So just like we want our team to serve the public client, we have to serve our client, which is our team. So I think that's a really powerful, concept to have. So I appreciate you bringing that up. I want to talk a little bit about inspiring to alignment. We have had these conversations in the past and the power of having alignment. When we see our team not being in alignment, that's oftentimes when productivity wanes and where people can, get into confusion because they're not really sure what they're doing. So, how, as a leader, can we inspire our team and also make sure that we're leading in alignment?
So I'm going to blend this answer a little bit with the first one that we just talked about is that, in one of my books, I talk about the five positions of leadership. And we often think as a leader that, hey, I'm supposed to be out front, blazing the trail, carving the path, fighting the dragons that are going to try to, tear down the village. And there's a part of that. And other people think, oh, I'm supposed to lead on top. I'm supposed to be the big man in the ivory tower or the top lady, the top dog. And the reality is out of the five positions of leadership, you're in those two positions actual positioning yourself the least often time wise, and you need to be behind your people or supporting your people or beside your people much more often. So the inspiration starts to come from, wow, this leader is not afraid to roll up his sleeves and get alongside us. Hey, I'm feeling down, I'm feeling nervous, I'm feeling scared, but he's pushing me forward in the right direction and making me overcome these unfamiliar areas. And another way to really inspire people is kind of a two-pronged effect. You have to get full alignment on the vision. Where are we all going? We understand where we're going. We understand what it's going to take to get there. It benefits everybody. A rising tide elevates all ships, rises all ships. And so if you can draw in that alignment with what motivates them and how that's connected to the vision, which what opportunities they have by achieving this vision, then things are going to go a lot better. In our company, we went from working incredible amounts of hours and overtime to now during the summer, all things being equal, if the work is done, we get Fridays off, a paid Friday off, 3 day weekend every weekend that the work is done. And at a minimum, they're achieving half day Fridays. When we set out to accomplish this goal, we clearly laid down the vision, the expectations for what it would take to equal the extra time off. And they were highly motivated to get that extra time off. Well, guess what? My clients were better served, my productivity and efficiency went up, and we relied on all the components that we had set aside to achieve that vision together. And now the entire firm benefited by getting at least half day Fridays every week during the non-busy season. So there are
Mhm.
multiple ways to inspire your people, but you need to make sure you're standing in the right position when you do it. You have clear vision and alignment, and once that vision is captured, you have to come back to it often. We have something called alignment meetings, and we usually do them about every 2 weeks now. And we just make sure whatever we're working on, whatever new clients come in, whatever projects we have set before us, are all in alignment with the daily mission and the new vision that we're trying to accomplish.
I think that is so fantastic. I love that idea of an alignment meeting just to make sure that we're all connected. And you are so right. When you get in alignment, when everybody is clear, it is astounding how we can get more done in less time, and the quality of service that we provide is so much higher. The misnomer is that the only way to do more is to work more, and it's just the opposite of that when you get everything the way it needs to be, which is what you're helping people do. So, it's just, huge accolades to you and your company for being able to achieve this on so many levels. I want to talk with you about one of the skill sets that I think is critical in being able to lay all of this out, and that is communication. Having what I like to refer to as quality communication, making sure that we're taking these visions, but how are we articulating them and communicating them? So I would love to get your take on how important and what do you feel is the role of communication in building a high performing team?
The role of communication is going to be one of the most pivotal things that you can do. And like you were saying, the proper and appropriate communication is important because you can say a whole lot of words with not a whole lot of meaning and impact. And then you can say very few words with really heavy and powerful impact. And of course, there's a happy medium on your daily interactions. But the communication needs to be very regular. Like I told you, our alignment meetings are about every other week. We have just regular staff meetings for training and coaching every single week. And then we have executive meetings with the executive team every week. So you got to think every week I'm spending 2 hours not doing any work. I'm either teaching or planning. And then every other week I'm doing 3 hours of not actually doing any work. But the benefit is those 3 hours are probably more value than the other 37 where I'm actually producing or doing my standard job because it motivates the rest. What I do is I have to make sure that me or the team or whoever's involved in that communicates out. And then we have to follow up to make sure that the communication was not only received, but understood. So we'll sometimes have teach backs, we'll have people parrot and paraphrase us and do things like that. And then one of the best strategies that we've employed over the years is something I came up with several years back called the fly on the wall methodology. And the fly on the wall methodology may cost you a little bit extra time on the front end, but it saves dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of hours over the lifetime of that staff member's career. And you come in and you watch them in a moment. It can be a skill, can be a communication. We like to do it with communication meetings and say, this is how I handle the meeting. These are the topics, how I discuss them, how I interact with the client, how I overcome objections, and how I cut off objections before they're going to be posed based on experience and years past. And so they just watch 2 or 3 of these meetings and the light bulb goes off. Then we go on to the next meeting and say, hey, there's 3 topics to talk about. I'm going to do 2 of them. Guess what? Here's all the material and answers you need to look really smart. You do the third topic. I'm here to
Mhm.
save you if you fumble over your words. And they go into the meeting and nail it. You do 2 or 3 meetings like that, slowly handing off more till at the very end, they're leading the meeting and you're the fly on the wall. If you do this with multiple staff members, now they're doing the meeting themselves and you're just down the hallway, and I'm always here to help you in case you get into a real snag. So, by training multiple flies on the wall and becoming the fly yourself, you're empowering your team so they're more productive. They accomplish the mission better in a faster way using each other and not just the old fashioned resource of the boss, the top dog, or a
Yeah.
piece of equipment that they have to rely on.
And I really love that concept of the fly on the wall because you just hit the nail on the head. It's the empowerment. As leaders, we have to grow our people to lead. And by being able to observe them, let them know that we are there for them and that we are supporting them, and then leading them to be stronger, it gives them that sense of confidence, and it gives them ownership in what they're doing and in their role. So I think that is such a beautiful way to illustrate a level of quality communication and also bringing in the cohesiveness of the team. So, Ryan, you hit on a lot of things today. We talked about the idea of alignment, we've talked about communication, we've talked about, leading to serve our people and really making sure that we're there with them, again, pulling up our sleeves and diving in there with them. I know that there's going to be people out there who are going to want to learn more about you and your company and the services you provide. So, where can people find you?
Great question. The only last thing I was going to say is if you want to show genuine welfare for your troops and your staff, get them world class training. Get them the best training they can find. You're going to empower and watch them just truly blossom. But in order to find me, you can go to CS Business Consulting's website. That's csbiz.com. Biz.com. So that's CSBIZCON.com. Or you can call our phone number to our office. It's 270 442 6688. And that goes to Shelton Associates or CS Business Consulting. Just ask for whichever one you're calling about, and you'll get a hold of us. We can schedule a meeting, and we can really rock and roll and help people. We're passionate about changing lives.
Fantastic. Well, Ryan, thank you again for an amazing conversation. Love all your tips and strategies around leadership. And for all of you that are following, stay tuned because we'll be right back for even more Be Productive.